So, this is Regina, and I'm Jessica. It's February 24th, 2009, and I'm going to ask you a few questions about the tax on September 11th. So, where were you when you first found out?
I was actually sleeping in bed, and I got a phone call from my mom that startled me because the night before I was pulling a late night to prepare for a presentation I had given my English 1A class at Gatlin College in Gilroy, and she told me turn on the television. That was basically the whole message she left me. And then I hung up and I turned on the TV, and I'm watching the plane go into the towers, and I just watched it and trying to understand, get a grasp of it, but of course that was not going to happen. And I watched it until I had to go to class. And then on my drive to school, I'm listening to the radio, more information, trying to understand it. And I go to school, and I'm up in front of the class giving my presentation. And ironically, it was about the greed of American culture. And I remember feeling like I was having an outer body experience. Like, I remember just like being quiet, and then I would speak, but it wasn't making any kind of sense. And my teacher just at that point canceled class, and it was a weird day.
So how do you think your peers reacted, other students in your class or your friends?
Everybody was just like in a fog. Everybody was there, but their mind was elsewhere, trying to understand such a chaotic event. Yeah, it was bizarre. It was a bizarre day.
And what did you do after class was dismissed?
I actually ended up, because class was dismissed and I was with other classmates, and we went to a Thai restaurant. We didn't know what to do. We went out to eat. We didn't really understand. And actually later on that evening I had remembered that once everything kind of settled in, that my dad was in Ohio, and he was on a business trip, and I was thinking, when was his flight? Was he supposed to fly to New York and then come over? And just trying to understand where he was, and thankfully he wasn't involved, but he was stuck in Ohio for at least a week because of the planes. There was no activity, and all the backlog of getting everybody. At one point he was even going to drive home just because it was so chaotic.
So how do you think 9/11 affected your lives since then?
Like everybody mentions, like a change in security levels, but I think we were obviously vulnerable before, but just we were ignorant to it and arrogant to it. I think we're just as vulnerable as we were then. Well, actually maybe not as vulnerable because we're aware of it, and that's part of the process of making changes, is being aware of your problems. So, yeah.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Sit down 1 second. Let me just point a couple of things that I saw that I think are really interesting. Think of the questions. The role that you play asking the questions is very important. That's sort of the scaffolding, or maybe I should say it's like the backbone. That is structure that you're placing in front of your informant, and the informant is going to bring it to life. So the questions are critically important, and the tone. The tone is also such an important thing, because what we're doing here is we're communicating at two levels. We're communicating at the level of the ideas, but we're also communicating at an emotional level. And both tracks are critically important when we're doing oral history. That is what is missing in the written record, and that is what we can capture when we do oral histories. And particularly now in the days of digital oral histories, in which we can really build more and give more. It makes a difference when you connect emotionally. I think there was, I don't know if you agree with me, but there was sort of a really good connection going on between informant and the informant and interviewer, and that's also a very important thing to do. Again, talking about rapport. And so good job. Thank you very much.